Okay, so let's start by creating a dummy logo object. I'm just gonna use this flower spline, set it to XZ axis, and let's turn down the number of petals to 5. Seems nice. If we go to the top view here, I'm gonna make this editable. I'm gonna go into the point mode, select all points, and I'm gonna create an outline on this. Okay, this looks nice. And now if we go to get the extrude NURBS object, hold down Alt to make it parent to the flower, and we want to extrude it up, say 30 centimeters, looks okay. And let's add some caps to that. We don't need it on the bottom. We actually can set this to none at the on the bottom. And let's increase these steps. This looks fine. Okay, so this will be the inner part of our logo, and we want to create the outer part of our logo. So let's duplicate this and name this outer logo. And what I want to do here is go into the point mode and create another offset, create another outline, sorry, which I want to make a little bit bigger, so it's like wrapping the inner part of it when extruded. So if we make this something like this, and if you noticed, I had this create new object selected, which means it created new object from the outline. So it created one object for the outline on the inside. I don't know how that happened, but what we need is this one on the outside. So let's delete this and put this one in our extrude NURBS object. And basically this is it. What we want to do is decrease or maybe increase the height on this, because right now you can see the height is of both of those extrude NURBS objects is the same. So let's decrease the inner part a little bit. Okay, so let's say this is our dummy logo object, and let's add in some text also. So let's add in some text and let's write down, this is our logo. And again, I want to make this on XZ axis, and let's go to the top view and move this down and scale it down so it kind of matches the size of the logo. So what we want to do with this is the same thing. We want to use the extrude object on it. So again, 0 on the Z, and we want to extrude it up on the Y, but we really don't need to extrude it so much as this one. So let's say 5 centimeters should be enough. I'm gonna create a cap on the top again, really small one, like 1 or even 0.5 centimeters. Set steps to 3, I think this should be enough. And this is our inner text. Duplicate this one and call it outer text. And okay, let's just group those a little bit. So selecting this is our logo. Selecting those, Alt G, this is our text, and again we need to make the outer text, the outer part of it, a little bit bigger. So we don't have to really go into text and create an offset of our spline, but we can just go into the extrude object and just increase the radius on the caps. Because we are not using the constraint, it means it just scales everything up a bit. And don't forget to increase the height movement, so it's a bit bigger than the inner part. It's actually, let's make it 5.5 maybe, or even smaller. Let me check. Okay, yeah, no, this 5 looks fine because, yeah, we're not using constraint and it scales up. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on wireframe and let's just hide the text for now. What we want to do is, on our outer part of the logo, is make the polygons on this to be equal in size. Like we want this logo to be built from squares, from square polygons. So first thing, I'll go into the spline and set its intermediate points to uniform, and I'm just going to increase this a little bit so we have enough details and enough polygons for these edges, so they look nicely rounded. And I want to go and turn this subdivisions height on our just height up, so we get something like this, squares. And one more thing we need to do is go into caps and change the type of our caps to quadrangles and regular grid, and maybe scale it down a little bit. So basically we want to make size of those to be as close to the size of those. So this looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm just gonna create a new material which we can put on outer part of it. Let's color it, I don't know, something like that for now. And yeah, basically we want to do the same thing with the outer text. So let's go in here. I'm gonna again change the intermediate points to uniform, and actually this looks good. I don't think I'll increase this. And we want to increase the height segments on this, the extrude segments. And again, in the caps, change it to quadrangles, regular grid, and we need to turn this way down to yeah, let's leave it at 2 centimeters. Okay, and I'm gonna apply the same material to our outer text. So let's hide the text for now, and I'm gonna group this to itself, call it outer logo again, because we want to use deformer on this and we need to put it in the same hierarchy as our extrude object. Okay, another thing that happens with using this is caps are no longer visible, but only in editor. I don't really know why, but if we render this, you can see that caps are still here. So to make caps visible in editor again, I'm gonna add in a connect object and just put this outer logo inside of connect object, and that's it. Okay. Next thing we want to do is we need a step effector. So using step effector, and I'm just going to put it in our outer logo parent. I am gonna parent it to itself and call this Effectors. And we want this effector to have effect on step effect on polyfx object, which already has, because I had my polyfx object selected when I added the effector. You can see it already works. It's scaling up, and I want to add fall off to it, like spherical fall off. I'm gonna go to the top view and and increase the size of this. Let me see. I want to increase the size so that the fall off covers the whole object. So looks like, let's set this to 400 by 400 by 400, and I'm gonna decrease the fall off a little bit to 25%. This looks okay. So now if we turn on our step effector, it's working on our object, and what we want to do is basically invert the fall off of this. And right now I just realized I set the fall off on our polyfx, which is not right. I'm gonna set this to infinite again, and I'm gonna go into our step effector and tweak this one. Excuse me for that. 25. Okay, that's it. And we want to invert this so it basically it works when it's not inside the effector, but when the object is outside of this fall off effector. So, and to achieve the effect that we're looking for, we need to tweak the parameters on the step effector. So let's just increase those values. Just something random. I'm gonna basically move this back, and I'm gonna move my parent out, so you can see what's going on here. This edge looks like it's really linear. So what I want to do with this fall off is I want to go into the step effector and tweak the spline of this. So I'm just gonna add a linear spline, and I'm gonna set the point type to soft, and I'm gonna tweak the curve a bit so it looks like something like that. So we get this really nice ease in or ease out on the animation. So right now when I move this, we get really nice curve on that. So yeah, that was the effect we were looking for. And I want to add in a random effector. Sorry, put it inside the effectors. And I'm gonna set its position to 0, the effector parent. Let me just move this back to 0. I'm just right clicking on these arrows to reset values. Okay, so we want to set fall off on our random effector to be the same as the one on our step effector. So let's go to spherical, 25%, and this was 400, 400, 400. Invert it and set this to linear, set point type to soft, and let's just tweak this a little bit. So if we move this effector out, this is what we get. And what I want to achieve with the random effector is just some movement on these polygons when the step effector is out of range. So right now, if we animate this, you can see that polygons that are here are not moving at all, and they're just standing still, waiting for step effector to kick in. So what I want to do is I want to go into the random effector and set its mode to turbulence. I'm gonna set the animation speed down to, let's say, 20, and of course we shouldn't forget to add our random effector to our poly FX object. So let's see how this looks. Well, this actually looks pretty good. I don't think I want to tweak the size of this turbulence field. It looks pretty nice. Basically, yeah. Let's see how this looks when we keyframe this. I'm gonna increase our frames here a little bit. Gonna go to the end of the sequence. Gonna move our effectors parent to 0 and basically set a position keyframe. And if we go to the beginning of of our sequence, I want to move this out of the way. Let me see where text is. Okay, text is on the bottom. So let's move these effectors up. So we start with this, and this animates in. Another thing I want to do on this keyframe is, let me go into the timeline, effectors, basically. Let me switch to curves mode, and I want 0 length on this, and I want to really long ease in the end of it, something like that. So it starts pretty fast, and then it eases in, and you can see that our animation already ends basically somewhere around frame 100, which is fine, which is okay. I guess I should make a preview, but let's wait for that. Maybe I want to increase the movement on the step effector. I want to make this go even further away from our logo object. So this looks nice. Yeah. Let's try with increasing the fall off here. I'm gonna double the fall off because okay, that's cool. But now we want to set the fall off to be a bit bigger on the effector. So let's see how this looks. Let me turn off my random effector for a while. No, actually I'm gonna go back to 500 because otherwise I lose this curvature Actually, let me go back to 400 and leave it the way it was in the beginning and set the fall off to 25. I really don't want to lose this nice curvature we have here. So on the random effector we could maybe tweak this position, because right now it's really big, and why we are using this random effector is just to give it a little bit of movement, not really that much. I'm gonna set this to 10, 10 and 10, and I'm gonna turn up, put in some rotation also, not much, just a little bit. Maybe let's increase this. Sorry. Okay, so this should be the base of our animation. Now we need to do the same thing with our text object. So what I'll do here is I'll just grab my effectors and my polygon FX object, and I'm gonna copy it down here to our text objects. I'm gonna parent this again, call it outer text, and I'll throw this inside. And we want to delete these effectors from our polyFX object, and we want to use these effectors, the new ones, not the old ones that are up here. So yeah, that's it. And what I want to do is get rid of the animation on this position track, because we want to have different kind of animation on it. I'm just gonna hide the logo for now. Okay, let's set its X position to 0. Okay, if we move this out, you can see we're getting this nice animation on the text. One thing that's missing again is our caps, so let's add in a connect object and let's make it parent to our outer text NURBS object. Okay, well, let's animate this. I'm gonna increase my frames here, and let's animate this effectors again, coming from left over our text, and set a keyframe here, and let's go to frame 200 and set its position to 0 and set another keyframe. I'm gonna do the same thing as with the logo keyframes. I want to make start of it really fast, and I want really nice ease in the end, something like this. Why I delayed the animation of the text is we will have the camera going over this part somehow, like that, and then we are coming over the text, so we can offset the animation of this going in. So we want the logo to animate in first, and then we can animate the text in afterwards. So yeah, this looks pretty cool. Maybe I want to decrease the step effectors values a little bit on this text, because this is pretty big offset, and it's all really random. So, but it looks pretty cool when you get in with the camera and turn on depth of field and things like that. Okay, so this is it. Let's grab a camera. I'm gonna put in a camera. I'm gonna go to the beginning of this, grab a nice angle, or you know what, let's go to the end of this, and let's pick our ending shot. Just gonna zero this out. We want a nice clean ending, and let me turn on the save frames here, and let's adjust the output on this to be, you know, I'm just gonna type it in 720. Okay, that's it for now, and let's frame this a little bit nicer. So let's move this out a little bit. So yeah, this looks pretty cool. Just gonna increase the opacity on this border, so this is what will be rendered, is what's inside of these borders. So okay, this should be our ending frame. It looks like, let's set the ending keyframe on this on frame 120, just the position of the camera for now. If we go to the beginning, let's move in really close, so we get really close to this nice details. I'm gonna set a keyframe for the beginning of this. Let's see how this looks. So this starts to animate in, which looks a bit too fast, but what I want to do here also with the camera is I want to tweak its curves. So again, let's set the zero length, and let's create a nice ease out on our animation. Okay, that's ease in, sorry. Okay, let's see how this looks like. Starts pretty fast, but then its camera starts to slow down, and Effectors starts to slow down. And here is our logo coming in. Doesn't look that bad. Maybe it could. Maybe everything could. Let me see. Let's delay our text animation just a little bit. So instead of 40 to 200, let's go from, yeah, maybe 60. Okay, this looks pretty cool. I'm gonna hide our effectors for now, and I'm gonna make a preview of this. Let's select hardware preview, set this to 640. I want, yeah, let's make it all frames, and okay. Okay, here is our preview. Let's see how the animation looks like. Might be a bit too fast, but you can always tweak that. Okay, let's see. Just gonna do something here because our animation ends at this point already. We don't need these frames. So let's play this. Yeah, it starts a bit fast. Everything could be a little bit slower, but let's leave it the way it is. And let's create some shaders and lighting for this scene. So I'm gonna add in a floor. I'm gonna create new material, put it on floor. I'm gonna set it white. And let's add some diffusion, ambient occlusion into diffusion. I'm gonna turn this down to 50%. Okay. And let's create some lights for this scene. So I want my key light to be area light, and I want to position it somewhere up here. You know what? I'm gonna set active object as a camera. So I want my light to be like this. Okay. Cameras, back to default camera. Okay. I noticed I'm still in my camera, so I'm just gonna scrub one frame forward so it jumps back to its keyframes. We didn't keyframe rotation, so let's reset this and let me get out of my camera. Okay. So we have one light up here. Well, I'm gonna turn on its shadows to the area shadows, and I'm gonna increase the size of this to 500 by 500. Let's go into our camera and let's see how this looks. Okay, yeah, shadows are pretty cool. Maybe let's make those even a bit longer, so let's move this light down a bit. Yeah, this looks pretty cool. Let's add in some fall off. Excuse me. Let's add in some inverse square fall off, and let's increase the size of that. Let me see. I'm gonna turn on my interactive render region and set it to the size of our output. Back to the light, let me check something. Okay. We want to get this nice gradient on the floor, if you can see it. So let's increase it even a bit more. Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna tint this light just a little bit towards more like red, orange color. Okay. Let us duplicate this light and set it to Omni Light. I'm gonna turn off its shadows and I'm gonna color this more towards blue. Let me grab this one and let's, first of all, I'm gonna reset its rotations, and I want to set its fall off to be smaller, and I'm gonna put it down here. Basically, this is our fill light and this is our key light. Okay, let's see how this looks in the in their final render. Looks pretty cool. Yeah, this looks really nice. I'm gonna duplicate this fill light and add another fill, and just move it over here. And I can decrease its intensity down. Decrease, sorry. Okay, so this looks pretty cool. Let's go into this material. Okay, no, sorry, let's add in a sky object, because we want some nice reflections on this material. So let's call this sky, and let me turn this off for now, and let's put a gradient into its luminance. I'm gonna set this to be circular, inverted, like this, and I'm gonna put this on my sky, and let's style this 2 times. So we get like 4 big spotlights around this, or maybe 2 spotlights around this scene. So back to our main material. Let's set its reflection, turn it up. I'm gonna use the Fresnel, of course, on this. Let's set this to 85. And let's leave it at 100, and let's set our specular up. I'm gonna increase this to 100, and we want some inner width and decrease, fall off, like this. So we have really nice edges on those, like highlights on those edges, which looks really cool. Let me see how this looks on the text. Yeah, pretty cool, but I'm gonna decrease the width of this because we were losing some of the orange on our materials. Okay, this looks pretty cool. And we should not forget the material on the inside parts of this. So let's create another material. Let's call it inner, and let's call this main. And I'm gonna put this on the inner part of our logo and on the inner part of our text. I want this to be more of a glass material. So let me adjust this. I want this to be transparent, almost completely. And let's turn its refraction up. Let's use some blurriness on this. Of course, we want a reflection also. So I'm gonna do the same thing as before. Use the Fresnel. We can turn this down a bit. Tweak the specular to something like that. See how this looks. Okay, yeah, we're getting really nice gradients here. I really like the look of this, so let's leave it like that. And let's see how our text down here looks like with this material. pretty good. Okay, so basically this is it. It's really up to you if you want to play with different camera angles. Obviously it can be a lot more interesting effect if you get into more like lower angles on this. This could look pretty cool. So I think this is it. Hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.